Like a lot of Americans all around the country, I really believe America is at a crossroads. I'll always be optimistic about America. We're too strong a people and too good a country to be held back for long. But I'm deeply concerned about the direction we're heading in right now. That direction is being driven by extreme policies that are coming from one-party domination of government in Washington. And this extreme, ideologically driven agenda is preventing the strong economic recovery and job creation that we should be having. It's time we put some real checks and balances back in place this November. Let's take a minute to review what's happened in just the last 18 months. First, there were the ill-advised taxpayer-funded bailouts of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the car companies. Now, to be fair, the bailouts were begun under the previous administration. But the crew that's in charge now ramped them up when it was perfectly clear that they were not accomplishing what they were supposed to. Next, we had the so-called stimulus bill. Nearly $1 trillion in new Washington spending, including some egregiously wasteful spending like $2 million to study exotic ants and $30 million for a spring training baseball complex, among hundreds of other ridiculous items. Now, we were told that this monster spending bill would create jobs and keep unemployment below 8%. Well, since then, we've lost nearly 3 million more jobs, and the unemployment rate hit 10%. And in some states, it's still well above that. Over 14.5 million Americans remain out of work. But even that was not enough for the one-party extremists in Washington. After that, they went ahead and rammed through a $2 trillion health care bill that even the official budget scorekeepers say will actually increase the cost of health insurance for individuals and families. And that's not to mention the very serious consequences for health care quality of imposing government in between doctors and patients. Now, where do all these bailouts, takeovers, and spending sprees leave us? They leave us with a weak economy, without job growth, and with a mountain of debt for our kids. Washington spending as a percentage of our country's economic output has grown by 25%, practically overnight. That extravagant spending has caused a budget deficit for this year alone of $1.5 trillion. That's a staggering amount of debt. In fact, this Democratic administration is projected to create more debt than all the debt we accumulated in the entire history of our country, from George Washington all the way through 2008 combined. So where do we go from here? Well, the first thing we need to do is eliminate the threats from further harmful legislation. Some elements of the Democrats' extreme agenda have not yet been implemented. And if we want to create jobs, we need to keep it that way.